Leo, today is not just another day in your calendar. It's a divine moment written in the stars. This is your biggest win ever, not just in money, but in destiny, in love, in purpose. Everything you've quietly worked for, everything you've patiently waited for, is finally aligning. And this video was created to help you recognize and receive it fully. Let me ask you this. What if everything you've gone through lately, every delay, every rejection, every heavy silence was actually clearing space for the jackpot of your life? Because what's unfolding right now isn't random. It's personal. It's cosmic. And it has your name written all over it. Welcome to Eternal Mindfulness, where every word you hear is aligned with the wisdom of the stars, the healing of energy, and the power of truth. You didn't stumble across this message by coincidence. You were guided here. That's important. You were guided here because your spirit is ready to rise, to reclaim, and to receive. You may not have realized it, but the universe has been watching you hold space for others, show up even when no one asked you how you were doing, and shine in rooms that barely reflected your light. And yet, you stayed loyal to your heart, to your values, and to your path. That is why today, the universe isn't just sending you luck, it's giving you the spotlight you were born to step into. What's about to happen may come in the form of unexpected news, a financial breakthrough, a moment of clarity, or a powerful connection, but make no mistake, this is the energetic payout for your alignment. Your jackpot is not just wealth, it's recognition. It's peace. It's emotional validation. It's finally being seen. So let me ask you, Leo, what called you here today? What made your intuition click on this video, at this exact time, in this exact way? Was it something deep in your heart that said, I'm ready to receive? If that resonates with you, I want you to pause and write this down in the comments right now. I claim my jackpot. I am ready to receive what's mine. That sentence, that declaration, is not just for you, it's for your soul. It's how you speak energy into motion. And I promise you, when you speak it, the universe listens. Now, before we move into the deeper parts of this reading, into the tarot, the cosmic alignments, the messages about love, career, health, and spiritual power, let me take a moment to thank you. Truly. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up for yourself. Every like you give, every comment you leave, every time you subscribe and share this content, you're helping expand this sacred community. You're also saying yes to the kind of guidance that empowers, not just predicts. So don't just watch, connect. Reflect. Participate. Because this is more than a horoscope. It's a homecoming to who you've always been beneath the noise. Stay with me until the end, because what the universe is about to reveal might just be the missing piece you've been praying for. Let's begin. There's something unspoken yet deeply sacred about the quiet roles you've carried, Leo. For so long, you've been the keeper of the flame, not the kind that demands attention, but the kind that warms others in silence. You've been the one people turn to for clarity, for guidance, for strength, yet rarely has anyone asked you where you go when your own fire dims. You've shown up for others on the days when your own heart felt hollow. You've given light while quietly watching your own wick burn low. And yet, you gave anyway. Not out of duty, but out of love. This is the essence of your journey until now, a beautiful paradox of power and softness. You've worn the crown of responsibility long before it was acknowledged. You stood tall in your storms, while the world only saw the sun in you. And in that process, your inner radiance was covered with the ashes of unspoken exhaustion and invisible expectation. But now, something extraordinary is beginning to stir. A shift not loud or forceful but as natural as the sun rising after a long night. This is not about being celebrated by the world. This is about being seen by yourself. Imagine a lion resting under a tree at dusk. Not roaring, not chasing but breathing. Still, fully present. That's where you are now. You're not being asked to fight or prove anymore. You're being invited to return to the throne within, to remember that your power does not need to be announced to be real. It just needs to be honored. This return isn't external. It isn't about applause or validation. It's about the reclaiming of something eternal, your sovereignty. In ancient teachings, there is a wisdom that speaks of the lion not as a hunter, but as a symbol of unwavering presence. When the lion walks, it does not wonder if the earth will hold it. It trusts the ground beneath its feet, because it knows who it is. That is where you are being called to live from now, not in pursuit, but in remembrance. The Strength card echoes this calling. It doesn't depict dominance or control, it reveals a quiet, graceful mastery. The strength of the lion is not in its roar but in its restraint. It's the courage to remain open, even when life has hardened parts of you. It's the ability to hold space for your feelings without being consumed by them. You're learning that your power isn't in shielding yourself, it's in allowing yourself to be whole, even when tender. And maybe, just maybe, the greatest act of self-respect now is choosing to let your fire warm you before you offer it to the world again. Because healing is not selfish, it's necessary. You can't pour from a vessel that's cracked. You can't guide others from a place of depletion. But when you fill your own cup, you become a lighthouse, not a martyr. You become a sovereign one who no longer waits to be chosen, because they've already chosen themselves. Let this moment be a soft coronation. You don't need permission. You don't need proof. You are the evidence. Every scar, every silence you carried with grace, every time you showed up when you didn't have to, these are your jewels. And now, as the fire within you begins to glow again, not to burn out for others, but to burn with purpose, let this be the start of your return to self. You are not stepping into a new identity. You are simply remembering the truth of who you've always been. Not the servant of everyone else's needs, but the keeper of your own sacred light. The cards we've drawn today are not just symbols on paper, they are mirrors. Each one is a sacred whisper that reflects your current stage, your silent longings, and the steps you're being invited to take next. In truth, they are less about prediction and more about recognition, because somewhere deep inside you, Leo, you already know the answers. What the tarot offers is not direction, but remembrance. It gently lifts the veil between your current self and the version of you who has already walked through the fire and come out sovereign. We begin with the Strength, a card that doesn't shout, it hums. It reminds you that courage is not the absence of fear but the grace of holding it with open hands. True strength isn't about forcing outcomes or maintaining control. It's the inner steadiness that arises when you choose not to react from habit, but to respond from presence. The moment you choose not to bite back when provoked, not to chase when something slips away, that is strength. This card shows us the power of inner discipline, the kind cultivated slowly, like a tree whose roots run deep before its branches ever reach the sky. The Eight of Cups arrives like a quiet invitation to depart, not out of anger, but out of alignment. Walking away isn't always a sign of defeat. Sometimes, it's the first act of devotion to yourself. In life, we often stay in familiar places long after they stop nourishing us. This card honors the part of you that knows something more fulfilling is calling, perhaps a deeper truth, a quieter joy, or a new rhythm that finally matches your heartbeat. Leaving behind what no longer fits is not loss, it is clarity in motion. Then we're met by the Queen of Wands, a return to vitality, charisma, and effortless magnetism. She doesn't beg to be seen. She simply is. Her flame doesn't flicker for attention, it glows from within, steady and sovereign. This card is a call to remember the version of you who didn't over-explain, who created because it brought joy, who walked into rooms without shrinking. In this space, your authenticity becomes your power. Your creativity is no longer hidden in practicality, it becomes your compass. This is a homecoming to natural confidence, not the loud kind, but the kind that feels like warmth in your chest and steadiness in your step. The sun is perhaps the purest affirmation in the deck. When this card appears, it does not promise, it affirms. The light you've been seeking? You are it. It suggests that everything is now conspiring in your favor, not because you forced it, but because you finally aligned with your truth. The sun doesn't choose where to shine, it simply shines. And so should you. This moment is the answer to those quiet nights you spent wondering if you were on the right path. It confirms that the success, joy, and clarity you've longed for is not out there waiting, it's already unfolding through you. Finally, the Knight of Swords rides in swiftly, carrying momentum, insight, and breakthrough. He represents movement, not chaos. Speed, not rush. This card asks, are you ready to act on what you now know? There is wisdom in patience, yes, but there is also power in quick, decisive alignment when the door swings open. You've been preparing for this moment, even if you didn't realize it. Now comes the time to move with the current, not against it. And so, each card here forms a pathway, a gentle map guiding you from recognition to release, from authenticity to illumination, from knowing to action. The journey isn't linear, but it is alive. And within you, Leo, lives every step. Take a moment to pause and ask yourself, which of these energies feels most alive in you today? Which card do you feel pulsing through your present moment? Let me know in the comments. Sometimes, writing it out is how the transformation begins. When we talk about jackpot energy, we often imagine an external windfall, a moment when fortune drops into our lap like lightning. But the real jackpot, Leo, isn't just about what arrives outside of you. It's about the moment when your internal alignment matches your external opportunity. This is the energetic signature of abundance, not the chase, but the readiness to receive. And right now, the energy around you is echoing with that resonance. Financially, you are not lacking ideas, effort, or passion. What has been missing, perhaps, is the full trust in your own deservingness. You were not born to hustle endlessly for scraps, you were born to lead, to inspire, to build with boldness and beauty. Leo, you are a magnet for prosperity, but that magnet only works when it's tuned to the frequency of worthiness. The moment you stop questioning whether it's too late or too much, you open the door for your ideas, yes, even the one you shelved months ago, to come alive. That idea wasn't random. It was a seed. And right now, the soil is fertile. Money is simply a form of energy responding to clarity. When you're grounded, decisive, and emotionally present, it flows to you with greater ease. But when doubt clouds your belief in what you can charge, earn, or offer tightens. So today, consider this your invitation to begin again, to launch the thing you've delayed, to reach out to that connection, to pitch the offer you thought wasn't ready. The numbers surrounding you now: 1, 19, 26, 33, 44, 57 are not promises, but pulses. They are moments of alignment waiting to be noticed. They appear when your actions line up with your belief that you are ready for more. In your career, this readiness is becoming visible. Perhaps there's been a tension between who you truly are and who you've had to be. Maybe you've played small to stay safe, to fit in, to maintain a system that no longer honors your fire. But Leo, you were not made to shrink. You were made to shine, not in the spotlight for ego, but in your authenticity. There's a project, a conversation, a role forming that will ask more of your truth. It will feel both exhilarating and confronting. And you will know it's for you because it won't require performance, it will require presence. Your path now is not about proving your worth. It's about embodying it. And then there's love. The mirror, the mystery, the lesson. For those of you walking this journey solo, you are stepping into a field of magnetism. Not the kind that needs to chase, but the kind that pulls effortlessly. You become most attractive not when you perform, but when you return to your center. When you radiate peace with who you are, and passion for what you love, people feel it. You're not here to be chosen, you're here to attract someone who sees what's already sacred within you. And for those in relationship, this is the moment to breathe back into your boundaries. To redefine love as partnership, not obligation. If you felt more like the caretaker than the companion, you are not wrong to feel weary. But weariness isn't weakness, it's wisdom. This is the season to honor the version of love that also includes you. Where you can be loved without earning it, where your needs aren't an inconvenience, and where silence is no longer a place where your voice disappears. In all of this, Leo, the jackpot is not just in what you gain but in what you release, realign, and remember. This is not about becoming someone new. It's about allowing the version of you who already knows the way to finally lead. After all the external shifts, the money, the opportunity, the recognition, even the quiet transformations in your relationships, there is one space that must be tended to with unwavering presence: your body. Because the body, Leo, is not just your vehicle. It is your sanctuary. And the truth is, even the brightest fire cannot burn endlessly without oxygen. Even the sun rests beyond the horizon each evening. Your vitality, your natural flame, requires replenishment, not just ambition. Not just drive. But gentle, consistent restoration. When energy is blocked or overwhelmed, it speaks in whispers before it roars. That tightness in your shoulders, that persistent tension in your neck, the sleep that never feels deep enough, the breath that always seems a little too shallow, these are not random. They're not signs that something is wrong with you. They are signals. Invitations. Your body is speaking a language older than thought, and right now, it's asking to be listened to. In the cycles of life, movement and stillness are not opposites. They are companions. The same way a bow must be drawn back before it releases its arrow, you must retreat inward sometimes to release your fullest power outward. This isn't retreating from the world, it's returning to yourself. A subtle but sacred shift from force to flow. When you honor your physical vessel, you also realign your energy field. The food you choose becomes the frequency you vibrate at. The way you move becomes the way energy moves through you. Even a quiet walk beneath the morning sun, or a cup of warm ginger tea sipped without rushing, can become an act of profound recalibration. These aren't grand rituals, but they are gateways. They bring you back to center, one breath, one bite, one pause at a time. You don't have to overhaul your lifestyle in a day. What matters most is intentionality. The moment you begin to treat your body not as a tool to be pushed, but as a partner to be loved, healing begins. It's in the exhale you didn't realize you were holding. It's in the simple decision to choose presence over performance. And from that grounded space, your inner fire returns, not erratic, not desperate, but steady and nourishing. In ancient practices, the body is seen not as an enemy to transcend but as the very mirror of your consciousness. When your thoughts are scattered, your body tightens. When your emotions are suppressed, your digestion slows. And when your soul is tired, your immune system whispers its fatigue. But the beauty of this connection is that it works both ways. You can bring clarity to your mind by calming your breath. You can lift your spirit by feeding your body foods that hold life force. You can bring yourself back from burnout by remembering that stillness is not laziness, it's medicine. Let your healing be a quiet revolution. One where you choose hot, nourishing meals that bring warmth to your belly. One where you slow down enough to feel the soles of your feet on the earth. One where you stretch, not to achieve a pose, but to return to sensation. Where you journal not to be productive but to make room for your truth to breathe. This isn't about doing more. It's about choosing differently. Choosing to see your body not as something to fix but something to love. Speak this to yourself, gently but clearly: my body is a sacred temple. I nourish it with respect and care. Let that sentence root into your awareness. Because no matter how far your journey goes, this body will carry you there. It is not the obstacle, it is the path. And when you treat it with tenderness, it will respond with power. ChatGPT.noi. As we step gently from the terrain of the body into the sacred space of relationship, a deeper truth begins to unfold, that love, in its purest form, does not demand sacrifice, only presence. Leo, your nature is radiant. You love grandly, you give generously, and you often hold the emotional temperature of the room without anyone noticing. But even the sun, with all its warmth and life-giving power, knows when to set. You are not here to carry others endlessly. You are here to share your light, not burn for those who refuse to stand in it. Relationships, whether romantic, familial, or platonic, are reflections. They show us where we are free and where we are still entangled. When a connection begins to feel heavy, draining, or conditional, it's not always a sign to leave, but it is always a sign to look within. Are you giving because it feels natural, or because you fear what happens if you stop? Are you holding space for others because you choose to, or because you've forgotten that your needs matter too? In certain teachings, there's a quiet wisdom that says, just as a tree does not pull at its leaves when the season changes, we too must learn to let go with grace, not out of bitterness, but out of clarity. Releasing doesn't always mean ending a relationship. Often, it simply means releasing the role you've unconsciously been playing within it. You don't have to be the fixer, the forgiver, the one who smooths over every rough edge. You are allowed to pause, to rest, to let others meet you halfway or not at all. When you shift your energy from constant offering to conscious receiving, something magical happens. You begin to see which relationships are rooted in mutual respect, and which ones survive only on your silence. And this clarity is not cruel. It is kind. Because it teaches you that love is not measured by how much you endure, but by how fully you remain yourself within it. Leo, this is a time to retreat into love, not escape it. To step back, not as punishment or passive aggression, but as a sacred act of self-preservation. It is a radical kindness to yourself, a gentle reclaiming of peace. When the heart is overwhelmed, it doesn't close, it constricts. And in that constriction, we lose access to our wisdom, our intuition, our ability to listen without defense. Returning to peace within yourself doesn't just help you, it helps the relationship breathe again. Sometimes, the deepest form of compassion is a boundary. Not to create distance, but to clarify the space where real connection can thrive. Because love that asks you to disappear isn't love, it's performance. And you are done performing. The invitation now is to choose your peace over your pride. Not every battle needs a winner. Not every disagreement requires a final word. Some of the most powerful moments in human connection happen in silence, when you quietly decide not to react, but to return to presence. That is not weakness. That is wisdom. So if you feel weary, Leo, know this: rest is not failure. Distance is not coldness. And protecting your energy is not selfish. You are not abandoning anyone by choosing yourself, you are simply no longer abandoning yourself for anyone else. And if that creates space in a relationship, allow it. Let that space speak. Let it reveal who steps forward, who steps away, and most importantly, what version of you steps into the light as a result. And now, dear Leo, if you've made it here, if you've walked with me through the layers of light and shadow, the fire and the quiet, then I want you to pause and truly receive this. The jackpot was never just about money, love, or opportunity. It was always about you. The version of you that has awakened, risen, and returned to your own sacred center. The real win is the moment you remember that you were never meant to wait for permission to shine. You are the light. This journey has been one of remembrance. Of peeling away the roles, the expectations, then so you could finally hear the truth that's been there all along, that the universe doesn't respond to what you want, it responds to who you believe you are. So ask yourself, right now, who are you willing to become if you stop doubting your worth? What doors could open if you simply stopped standing in your own way? You've been given signs. The cards have spoken. Your body has spoken. Even silence has spoken. And now it's your turn to speak, not just with your words, but with your choices. What will you do today that affirms your value? What step will you take that honors your inner fire? What can you release to make room for what's truly meant for you? These are not rhetorical questions. They are invitations. You don't have to do it all at once. Just begin. One small step toward the life that reflects your truest self is all it takes to shift the entire path ahead. You are not here to fix the past, you are here to create the future. And it begins when you believe, I am enough. I am ready. I am the miracle I've been waiting for. Thank you, from the bottom of my heart, for being here. For choosing this moment to show up for yourself. Every view, every like, every heartfelt comment helps build this space where we don't just predict, we transform. Where we don't just hope, we remember. You, dear soul, are part of something luminous. And your energy is what allows this channel Eternal Mindfulness to continue guiding souls just like you back to their center, their purpose, their power. So if today's message resonated, I want you to take a moment and comment below. I'm ready to step into the highest version of myself. Let that be your signal. Let it echo across time and space as a declaration of who you are becoming. And if you haven't yet, please don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and join our growing family here at Eternal Mindfulness. There's so much more ahead, and I promise, this is only the beginning. Stay with me, Leo. Your golden era isn't coming. It's already unfolding. Walk forward today with a heart like the sun, radiant, grounded, generous, and know that everything aligned for you to hear these words because something within you was already ready to rise. You didn't just win today. You remembered who you are. And that, Leo, is the greatest jackpot of all.